All right, good morning, everybody. Today is Daf Yud Zayin Mesachas Rosh Hashanah. We continue with our discussion, which we had yesterday. We brought a brisa, almost in the middle of the brisa. We saw regarding Rosh Hashanah being a day of judgment. That there's three different groups. There's the middle group. They go on, and until Yom Kippurim, and then we brought. That I believe we said they go down. They go to. Do we bring? They went down to the right. So we said that the Beinayim Yerdim the Gehenim, that was towards the end. It was the bottom to Zayin and the top of Yud Zayin, and then they brought a pasuk. The Hashem is Memi Simechaye, right? And then he brings them up from Gehenim, and Beis Hillel says. Right, he leans towards Mate Klape Chesed, and David Melech said, "I have to kish Hashem as Koli." Right, all these will explain. And David, all right. So he said, so over there, and he was poor, but Hashem saved. Now, so we're at Poshe, which is 3, 6, 8 lines from the top. Last word of the line, Yud Zayin Amud Aleph. Poshe Yisrael begufan, Poshe Umois Ha'olam begufan. We'll explain this. Poshe Yisrael. Sinners of Israel with their body, and those also sinners of the Umas Ha'olam of the other nations with their body. Yardim leGehenim v'yidanim ba Yud Beis Chodesh. Right, they go down to Gehenim and they are judged there, and they're in Gehenim for 12 months. Le'achar Yud Beis Chodesh, after 12 months, Gufan Kala v'Nishmasan Nisrefes v'Ruach Meferes Hasam Tachas Kapos Raglei Tzadikim. And basically, their goof is burnt up, their neshama is burnt up, and they're made into ashes. And they are scattered underneath the feet of tzaddikim. Shnamar, as the pasuk says, right? The ashes of the Rishai will be under the feet, your feet. However, those who are heretics, right? Those who are meisim, informers, right? And apikorsim, and who have rejected the Torah. And who also have rejected the concept of Tchias HaMeisim, and those also who have gone ahead and separated themselves from the way of the community of the Tzibur, and also they've basically terrorized or made it difficult for those to live. Amongst the people, will explain this. Those who sin and make the Rabbim sin, could go in Yerovim ben Nava, like Yerovim ben Nava, right? Who was the Melech Yisrael, right? Who caused, or who separated, right? So also he caused the Rabbim to sin. And his friends Yordim leGehenim, they go down to Gehenim and Nidanim ba the Dare Daras, and they are judged there, and they are there for many generations. They don't come up after 12 months. Shnamar, the pasuk says, so the pasuk over there says that they will go out and they will see those who have rebelled against Hashem, and I guess they will remain in the fire, and they will not cease. The Gehenim, and so they will not cease. The Gehenim kala v'heineinim kala, right? Basically, the Gehenim stops, right? In other words, for others who are Gehenim, but their Gehenim does not stop. Shnamar. B'tzura livlois shal, as the pasuk over there says, that that they will outlast the shal, which is the Gehenim. The kol kachlam. Why is this? Because basically they've got involved. They put their hands in zvul, right? They and Shinamar was, but the zvul is referred to the Beis Hamikdash, as we'll soon see, that they prevent the Beis Hamikdash either for cause it to be destroyed or prevent it to be rebuilt. Shinamar. Mizvul lo, right? So it says over there from the zvul, right? From his zvul, because of zvul, vein zvul el beis hamikdash, and the zvul of beis hamikdash. Namar bana benisi beis zvul lecha, right? So it says that we'll build a beis zvul v'aleha on this. Amrachana Hashem yichtu meriva, right? Hashem will contend with those who have fought against him. So in other words, those who fought against the basis of rule, those people will be in Gehenim L'Yelam Vad. And Omer Reb Yitzchak Bar Avi U'Pneiim Doimin L'Shulei Kedera, right? And their faces will be darkened like that of the bottom of a pot, right? Those who go down the Gehenna. Those people, even those, the elite, who live in Bnei Mechuza, Bnei Gehenna, and their faces will be recognized that they're in Gehenna, and they'll have darkened faces like the bottom of the pot, and they'll be called Bnei Gehenna. Yeah. And Amar Amar Beis Hillel Imrim, we mentioned the Bryce of Beis Hillel Imrim, Rav Chesed. So he's a Rav Chesed, right? So Mate Klapi Chesed. Now basically he leans it towards Chesed, right? I is a Shlishis Beish. I says of there, but they're brought down to the fires of Gehenna. So Hasan b'Pashe Yisov Begufa. So over there is that they will Pashe Yisov Begufa. Those people Pashe Yisov Begufa, and they'll go in the fire. Pashe Yisov Begufa. But Marta Leslu Takanasa. But didn't you say earlier that there is no takana for them? So the answer is no. If they have majority, too many avonos averos, and there's nothing to do. But over here, referring to someone who's basically 50-50, and on that it helps. And if he also has the avera of being a poshe yisrael with his body, then the chesed of Hashem will not help him. Right? Because over there, he's the one who's brought down. However, Rav Chesed Mata, right? But if not, then knows if he's not poshe yisrael begufan, if he's not sin with his body, we'll soon see what that is. Then, if it's 50-50, then he'll be moved towards the Rav Chesed. Over there, David says, "Ahavti ki yishma Hashem." And I love ki Hashem here. So Dor Shrav Ma'idich Siv Ahavti ki yishma Hashem. So Amar Knesset Yisrael Lefnei Kadosh Baruch Hu Ribono Shel Me'masani Ahuva Lefanecha. When am I beloved in front of you? Bizman Shata Shemea Kol Tachnai. Right? When you hear the sound of my supplications, my tefillos, and dalaisi lido yashir. In other words, and it says over there, right, that he is, I am poor, and you have saved me. Afvi shadolani in a mitzvahs, even though I am poor for my mitzvahs, li no yashia. Right? Then, nevertheless, it is befitting for me. It is, beneficial for me for you to save me. In other words, so there is the chesed there when he davens out, even though he's poor in mitzvahs, then he is saved. And poshe yisov begufan ma'ani. What is considered to be poshe yisov begufan? So Amarav karkavta delay monach tefillin. When a person does not put on tefillin, he does not put on tefillin daily. Such a person is poshe yisov begufan and poshe umas ha'elam begufan, and that so Amarav b'yavera. That's referring to Gilei Rice. Then it says chisisam ba'aretz. It says over there, basically they bears chayim, right? They basically make it difficult for those who are living in Eretz Chaim. So what does that mean? That's somebody who's like one of the leaders of the community that basically place extra fear upon the members of the community, not for the sake of Shemayim, and therefore, as such a person, he was the one referring to that will go down to Gehenna. And Amar Rav Yehuda Rav Kol Parnes Amatil Ema Yisrael Al Sivosh Lo L'Shem Shemayim Ein Roya Ben Tamar Chacham. Any person who is a Parnes, basically one of the leaders of the community, who puts extra fear upon the Tzibur, not L'Shem Shemayim, he will not see a son who is a Tamar Chacham Shinamar, because the Pasuk says Lachein Yeru Anashim Lo Yeru Kol Chacham Aleif. Right, so it says, and they will not see those people. Will not see Chacham Aleif. They will not see people who are Tamar Chacham, Talmidei Chachamim come from them. And Beis Hillel Imrim, the Rav Chesed Mata. So it says he's Rav Chesed. So Mata Klapi Chesed. So therefore lean to Klapi Chesed. So Heichi Yapid. So how's it done? How does he lean towards Chesed? Right, person, he has mitzvahs and averos. So what is done? So Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Elazar, Aimer Kaivsha. Right, he basically he suppresses it. He pushes it on scales and he pushes down the mitzvahs. Shinamar Pasuk says you should Yerachmeinu Yichvosh Yichvosh. Right, so he depresses, right, the averas by depressing, so it looks like the mitzvahs are heavier than the averas. He actually lifts up right. He lifts up the averas, so it makes it look like the averas are lighter and the mitzvahs are heavier on the scale. And Tana Rishmal Rishon, he removes, right, the ones in the beginning. And that's basically that's the trade which is done. right? Amar Rava, the avon atzma ein nimchak. However, that avon is not, it's not necessarily erased. The ika ruba avainas machshiv hadaya. Because if you just remove the first one, but there's still plenty of more averos than mitzvahs, then it doesn't get erased, then it comes back into the calculation. But if it was even, then the first one's removed, then it will tip the scales to good. Fine. So Amar Rava, thank you. So kol hamavir amidaisav mavilay al kol shav. Right, very important. The person who's mavir amidaisav, right? The person who's he's not stubborn. He forgives. Right, he's not mavir amidaisav. Right, he's he makes sure he's, how does it touch in English, right? He relinquishes all his sins. In other words, such a person who's who forgives others, doesn't hold grudges. So then, for such a person, then they remove his chatayim. Shnamar says, "Naisi avon v'avir pesha." Pasuk says, "Naisi avon v'avir pesha." What's the taich? Lemi naisi avon. Who is a person whose averos are lifted or removed? Lemi she'over al pesha. A person who basically doesn't hold any transgressions against them. He doesn't hold them permanently. Right? He forgives and forgets. Rav Huna bar Yeshua chalash. One time, Rav Huna bar Yeshua, he was sick. Al Rav Papa l'shulei. Rav Papa wanted to go ahead and visit Rav Huna. So Chazi the chalash le Alma. He saw that he was weak. He was dying. Samarlo. He told him Tzivisul alei zabdasa. Right, go prepare the shrouds. Prepare this. He's going to die. Make sure you call the Chaver Kadisha. Let them know they got to come here soon. But in the end, however, Itvach. So he got better. So how do you mix Rav Papa l'michsei? Rav Papa was embarrassed because Rav Papa was basically like it was he gave up on him, right? So Amarlei my chazis. So what did you say? Amarlei say yes, this I was. However, Amarlei Hakadosh Baruch Hu hoyav v'lei mikam b'milei l'himu ba'adei. Right. However, since he's not so makbid, right? He was, I guess, between worlds, and he saw that the Hakadosh Baruch Hu ruled that since he's not makbid on people. Right, and that he doesn't stand on his principles. Right, so therefore, he didn't shnamar nice yavon v'avapesha. Nice yavon, who is nice yavon? Who's the averas? And the evil decree la'aver pesha. Person who's aver pesha. And then it says l'sheiris.
So he got better because
Papa said what he said.
That's the mashmans of the Gemara. In other words, Rav Papa insulted him by saying, "Get the tachrichim ready," and because his Mida of overlooking.
I hear that. I hear. I didn't initially look up Shad. I mean, Rashi doesn't hint either way. He just says, "Eino mamid amidoisav." And loy. No, the Gemara. All right, I hear. Fine. Anyway, so the pasuk says l'sheiris nachlaso, as it says to the remainder of his inheritance. So Amar Rabbi Acha Bar Chanina Alea v'kaitzba. If you have a tail and a thorn in it, in other words, a tail is the good part of the animal. It's a nice fat tail. Also has thorns in it, so it's good and bad. This pasuk is good and bad. It says l'sheiris nachlaso v'leikol nachlaso. In other words, it's good and bad. It's good that Hakadosh Baruch Hu does this good, this chesed to his people, but only the remaining of his people, not all of them, most, right? Some, like that's the bad part, right? Like a person who makes himself like Shirayim, a person who is humble, right, and makes himself lowly, right, and makes himself like the leftovers. Such a person, that's who gets this chesed. And Ravuna Rami Ksiv, pasuk says Tzadik Hashem b'chol derucha, Hashem is a Tzadik Ksiv v'chesed b'chol masav. He's a chesed b'chol masav. So b'chila Tzadik in the beginning, he's a Tzadik. He's mishparecha, one judgment. However, in the end, then he's a chesed. He goes lifnei mishur sedin because people need a little help. He goes easy on them, right? He grades on a curve. Rabbi Elazar Rami Ksiv pasuk says l'chashem chesed Ksiv kiata t'shalom b'ish kamaseyu. Right, he says you are a chesed, right? You do charity, and then he says, you give each man what he deserves. In the beginning, then you give really, in the beginning of the din, a person really should get what he deserves. However, the soap in the end, seeing that man cannot stand up to such a thing, then he gets the chesed of Hashem. And ilfi, environment, some say ilfa. Rami Ksiv, the pasuk says Rav Chesed v'Ksiv v'emes. It says he's Rav Chesed, right? He's full of charity, right? Chesed, and he also is truthfulness. But Chila Amos in the beginning, he's Amos, however, the Soif, Rav Chesed, but in the end is Rav Chesed, right? As basically similar we've been saying. Hashem passed before him and he called out, if it wasn't written in the pasuk, I wouldn't be able to say it. However, what went on over here, HaKadosh Baruch Hu basically put on a talus like a Shlich Tzibor, Seder Tefillah, and he showed Moshe Rabbeinu the Seder Tefillah, how to go ahead. And in order to achieve mercy, right, from the heavenly court, right? Amar like calls match Yisrael chaytin. Every time he says chaytin, yaseh lefanai keseder hazeh. Do before this seder hazeh, and he meichel lehem, and I will free them. Hashem, right? Say Hashem Yukei Vavli Ani who kaidem sheyichta Adam vani who liach sheyichta Adam. Right? He is Hashem. He is midas rachamim. Right? He's midas rachamim before they sin. He's midas rachamim after they sin. So therefore, as he say Hashem midas rachamim, right? Both before and after he sins. V'yaseh tshuva, and then the tshuva kerachim v'chan, right? And then this is kerachim v'chan. So Rav Yehuda bris karusa. So there was a covenant liyugim midos sheina chazeres reikam, that they do not, they're not set for naught. In other words, they're always. There always is their answer. Shnei says, and behold, I make a covenant. The covenant is that the Yud Gimel Midos will be an effective way of tefillah even when Bnei Yisrael has sin. So with the wide lines, Amrav Yechanan, good on Yud Zayin Od Beis. Amrav Yechanan, Gedoyla Tshuva Shemekres Kazar Di. Oh yeah, yeah.
No, it's the Haggah stuck in the middle.
Yeah, the Haggah's there. Yeah, takes out his. Yeah.
Things we get excited about.
Yeah. So Amrav Yechanan. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Very good. So Amar Rabbi Yechanan Gedol Tshuva Shemekres Gzar Dino Shel Adam, greatest tshuva because it can actually tear up a Gzar Din even afterwards. Shnei says. So the pasuk over there says Hashmein Leiv Ha'am, right? So it says people had a fan heart Hazev Aznav Achmeid, right? And their ears were heavy; they didn't listen. Ve'inav Ashapan Yireh Ve'inav Ba'aznav Yishama Ulavvo Yovin V'Shav Rapilo. Now it's basically was saying that the people, they were too stubborn. They didn't want to see, and they didn't want to go ahead and do tshuva and be healed. So what do you see from the pasuk? So we see from the pasuk that had they done the tshuva, they would have been healed, but they didn't. They were too stubborn to do the tshuva, right? But if they would have done tshuva, they would have done it. So maybe that was for the Gzar Din. So it says they will be healed. What is something that needs refuah? Haviyamir is Gzar Din. That's after the Gzar Din. So even if there's a Gzar Din, there still is the ability, right? There's a decree that this is what's going to happen. There still is the ability to change that Gzar Din. So Meisvei said he has a kasha. It says Hashev ben Zayim. So it says Hashev ben Zayim. So he said if there a person does tshuva in between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, Michael Lo, he's forgiven. Lo Shav ben Zayim. A person does not do tshuva between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. Afilu Hevi called Aile Navil Shabbat. Even if he goes ahead and brings every ram as an offering in the world, ain't Meichlin Lo. He cannot do it anymore. Or in other words, if he doesn't do tshuva and then he has the Gzar Din Yom Kippur, there's nothing he can do about it anymore. So over there by Yom Kippur, he said it's too late to change, and over here it seems to say that even after Gzar Din, you can go ahead and change it. What's going on? So Loi Kasha. Ha b'yachid ha b'tzibur. When it comes to Yachid Gzar Din is a serious thing. When it comes to Tzibur, the Tzibur has the ability to even change a Gzar Din after it was already judged. It says, it says over there, the eyes of Hashem are on them, right? Times of good, times of bad. What do you mean? Itim l'taiva, Ketzah. What does it mean? Times are good. Harei Shayisrael, Rosh Hashanah Gemurin, Rosh Hashanah. If you start Rosh Hashanah Gemurin, the time of Rosh Hashanah, and therefore they had a Pascal Hamkasham Muatim, and therefore it was decreed they're going to have a little amount of rain, right, due to their bad behavior. So in the end, they were chayzer. They became better, but nevertheless, the beginning of the year was decreed to have little rain, right? So I can't go ahead and add rain. There is a gzera. How much rain should be? Right? And kolafia aretz. Kol So in other words, but Hakadosh Baruch Hu put him at good times. So at good times in the places that need the rain, the places that don't need the rain, he won't waste the water there. So the water, even though it would be a small amount, because that was decreed in the beginning, he would put it in the good places. The fields are needed and the times are needed. So that was what was done. And it says, "Itim lo ra," and times that were bad. What I mean, Ketzad Yisrael tzaddikim gemara. They were good in the beginning of Rosh Hashanah. Upaskal and Geshem Reuben. They were decreed. Okay, the year plenty rain. I'm sorry.
So it's decreed on Rosh Hashanah seemingly.
Even though, yeah. So maybe referring to maybe he's referring to the Gzar Din by Sukkos. The Din Alamayim. So Chazru Lahen the Fachais. So that all of a sudden the Chazru to go ahead and change the amount that was already destined for the year. You can't do. Sheikh there because it's already decreed. Rather do it in bad time and at times in lands that area didn't need it. Right? So what do you see from over here? So my hand. So it says so what do you see? I understand. So Latova, I understand for it's a good. We just said before that people could go ahead and do tshuva and ask Rachman even after Gzardin if it comes to the tzibur. So I understand if it was decreed in the beginning of the year to have little rain. So why was the answer to even though it'll still be a little rain, we'll put it in the right place at the right time? Why can't you say tear up the Gzar Din and be it for good? Give us an abundance of rain. Why don't you do that? It must be that you can't change the Gzar Din. So Gemara says no. Says no. Because it's possible to do it this way. And if it wasn't possible to do it this way, then the decree would have been torn up. And Tashma comes in Yardei Hayam. So the psukim say over there is about and Tehillim Kuf Zayin, or is it Kuf? Can you read it? It's too small. Yeah, Kuf Zayin. So Kuf Zayin says over there. I think it's the one. This is Kuf Yutas, right? So he says Yardei Hayam. So it says those who go out and see Be'anios Oisei Malacha B'Mayim Ravim Heimaru Maseh Hashem. Those who go down to the sea, they see the mastery of Hashem out in the sea, the greatness of the depths of the sea. And it says Vayomer Vayamed Ruach Sara V'Chermema Golav Yachogu V'Yanu Kashikur. It says over there, however, out there in the sea will be stormy, and they'll be bouncing around like a drunk, right? It's called Hashem, but Sar Lahem, and they cried to Hashem when they were in Sar, and he stopped the storm and he's saved them. So Yoidu Hashem Chazdo, right? Give thanks to Hashem for his chesed. So Asel Lahem Simanios. If you look over there in Tehillim, there's the Simanios. There's the nun that appear in between them. So Ka'ach and the Rak in Torah. Just like you have time when it says Ach, Arak in the Torah, which are a separation in the paragraph. So too these separations, these appear up there. To tell you why. So if you go ahead and you cry out before the Gzar Din, then it's answered. But if you cry out after Gzar Din, it's too late. You're not answered. So you're not answered after Gzar Din. So once again, the Gemara answers no. The person at sea is like a yachid, and therefore, since they're a yachid, they are unable to go ahead and change the Gzar Din. And Tashmakam, listen, so Shala. Baluria Hagiyaris is Rabbi Gamliel. So Baluria, the Giyaris, the convert, she asked Rabbi Gamliel, Ksiv Torah Seichem says in your Torah, Asher lo yisa upon it. It says Hashem will not show favor. Uksiv yisa Hashem upon Avilecha, right? Let Hashem show favor. So Nifal Rabbi Yosef HaKohen, so he says, okay, he got in conversation with her. So what happened? Amarla, Am Shalacha Mashal Ma Davar Daim. Let me explain to you what it's similar to. La'adam Shaneish B'Chaver Mana, person who basically he had his friend owe him money, right? He owed his friend money, right? The Kabbalah is man ifnei melech, and he basically established a time when he'd be paid back, in front of the king. And the guy said, "Okay, I'll swear to you, in the name of the king, I'll go ahead and I'll pay you back." Time came and did not pay back. So Melech and came to him. He said, "I'm so sorry. I swore in your name. I didn't pay him back. What am I going to do?" Right? Right? I mean, it's okay. You swore my name, this and that, but the Maisa, I'm not the one out my $100, right? Go ahead and speak to your friend. So hachinami, so too over here. When when it comes to Averos Ben Adam Lamakom. So that HaKadosh Baruch Hu could go ahead and forgive. So that he can show favor to. But when it comes to showing favor, when the case where he can't show favor, that's when HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, hey, it's not me you sinned against, it's Yadam, it's that guy you stole from, or it's that guy you wronged or you hurt. He's the one you have to go ahead to. So that's, I can't show you favor if that occurred. And until Rabbi Akiva came, the Li made, and he taught another teaching. It says, Kan Kodem Gzardin, before Gzardin, you can go ahead and show, I guess, some favoritism. However, but after the Gzardin, there can't be favoritism. Why not? So I thought you can go ahead and change it. So once again, when it comes to a Yachid, then it's over, right? Then you can't go ahead and change it. However, with the tzibur, that we said earlier that perhaps that Gzardin could be changed with the right tefillos and the Gimel Midos and davening out. All right, we'll stop here. Shkoyach, everybody. Tomorrow, Mitzvah Shem.